Hello, everybody. My name is Jax James. I am the Executive Director for Texas NORML, and I'm here today to chat with you guys about what is going on with the legislative session. So, as you guys know, pre-filing started all the way back in November of 2022, just a week after elections, and our filing deadline was back in March. And so now we're at this kind of beginning of the crunch stage of the legislative session because it ends on May 31st. So we have 4 weeks to do a lot of work. Now, in some states, legislatures, last that long. But here in Texas, our legislature only meets every 2 years for 140 days to do the work of the people, in theory. And so we have a lot of bills to discuss. Some of them are at varying levels through the process. And I want to go ahead and kick it off by talking about medical access bills. There are several bills that have been filed in both the House and the Senate. There's several let doctors decide type legislation, SB 127 from Senator Carol Alvarado, SB 121 from longtime medical cannabis advocate Senator Jose Menendez, and then another one by HB 1200 by Representative Ronald Reynolds. But all of these bills have been assigned to committees but have not had hearings yet. And with only 4 weeks left, they would really need to have a hearing in the next week or so to be able to kind of make it through the gamut from one chamber to the other and ultimately land on the governor's desk. And there is one bill currently that is moving in such a manner. It is HB 1805 by Representative Click. And what it would do is it would add chronic pain as a qualifying condition, and it replaces the THC cap by dry weight with volumetric dosing. It would further allow the Department of State Health Services to designate qualifying conditions instead of legislators deciding them every 2 years. So HB 1805 had a hearing in public health, which it passed. It also passed the House floor about 2 weeks ago. Originally, when it was received by the Senate, it was assigned to the Public Health Committee. But at this time today, or I guess at an earlier time today, we got an alert that it has now been assigned to Water, Agricultural, and Rural Affairs Committee and is currently pending a hearing. Now, the chair of that committee in the Senate, the Water, Agricultural, and Rural Affairs Senate Committee, is Senator Perry, who has authored the companion bill to Representative Click's bill. So HB 1805 has come from the House into the Senate, likely to have a hearing in the next week or two in the Senate before it advances from that point. Now, some people have asked me, and I encourage you guys to drop your questions in the comment, is it going to be 1805 that passes the Senate, or will it be the Senate version? And it's very common the way that our legislature works for the Senate or for the House to kind of take a large number of bills. There's 150 representatives in the House, and so therefore they can have a lot of hearings and kind of whittle it down to send it over to the much smaller Senate to kind of finalize what they want to see pass out of there. So HB 1805 will be the bill that will have the hearing and will move through the Senate. So great news there. Moving on, there are a few other bills which have been assigned to public health but have not yet had a hearing. So it is our belief at this point in time that 1805 will be the legislative vehicle for this session. Okay, so now to my notes on penalty reduction. There have been quite a few bills that do a lot of different things having to do with de-escalating penalties for both flour and concentrates. There's legislation by Representative Terry Canales, Senator Nathan Johnson, Representative Diego Bernal, and none of these bills have yet had a hearing. But there are 2 bills that have. One is let's see, HB 382 by Representative Nicole Collier. It actually is related to the defense of prosecution for certain possession of consumable hemp products containing a controlled substance or marijuana. That was assigned to the Criminal Jurisprudence Committee and heard on the 28th, but it is still pending a vote. So the bill that is currently on the move and doing the best right now is HB 218 by longtime cannabis proponent in the legislature, Joe Moody. And what this bill would do is it would reduce the penalties for the possession of 1 ounce of flower or up to 1 ounce of cannabis concentrates. It also instructs officers to no longer make arrests for the possession of personal use of either marijuana or its related paraphernalia. It facilitates a process for expungement of past marijuana charges. And this bill has passed the Criminal Jurisprudence Committee, of which the author is the chair. And last week on the 26th, it also passed the House floor. That's second or third time that an iteration of this bill has passed the House. Just as of yesterday, it was officially received by the Senate and is currently awaiting its committee assignment. So we're hoping in the next few days to know which Senate committee this will go to for a hearing so that we can start the process there. So penalty reduction is on the move as well. Now, there are a lot of bills that I'm not necessarily highlighting all of the details regarding. All of the bills have been assigned to committee, but only these 2 penalty reduction bills have had a hearing. So if you want to get more details about the other legislation, you can go to texasnormal.org, click on that 88th Texas Ledge tab there. It'll have the action alerts you can participate in, our priorities for this legislative session, and then a description of all of the bills and what they do on that page there. So next, I want to discuss legalization. So there are quite a few, well, I mean, 3 or 4 bills by in the Senate, my personal senator, Sarah Eckhart, and in the House, again, my Representative Tellerico, which do very similar things. And they have both been assigned to committee but are pending a hearing. However, making history last week on the same day that the penalty reduction bill passed the House, Representative Joe Moody's House Bill 3652 had a hearing, which is a first in Texas. Never has a committee in the legislature held a hearing regarding a regulated market for the adult use of whole plant cannabis products in Texas. So this bill would allow 21 and up to possess 2.5 ounces of cannabis flower or 15 grams of cannabis concentrates. It would also allow for home cultivation of up to 12 plants, and a 10% tax will be implemented on cannabis sales. Now, it was assigned to the Licensing and Administrative Procedures Committee. It had its hearing on 4/26 last Wednesday and is now pending a vote. Now, just so you know, in committees, it's very common for them to pend a vote for a week or two. Often they have the hearing, and then within the next week or two, they vote on the bill. So we are very hopeful that we will get a vote regarding this legalization bill, which would be another historic and monumental first. So exciting things happening all across here. I wanted to touch on a few miscellaneous bills, additional bills that we are tracking. And of course, if you guys are having any questions about anything that I'm discussing here, please drop them in the comments. And after I finish covering this, I will go over it with you guys. So House Bill 2562 by Representative Plessa wants to require certain groups of benefit plans offered to governmental employees to cover low THC cannabis products. This bill has been assigned to the Pensions, Investment, and Financial Services Committee in the House, but it is pending a hearing. If we want to see this bill be able to make it over the finish line, ideally it will be heard in the next week or two. So there is an action alert. If you go to texasnormal.org, you'll see a Take Action tab. Click on that and it'll drop down all the action alerts for you to participate in. Now, another bill I wanted to mention, another miscellaneous bill is a bill in the House, HB 2818 by Representative Briscoe Kane. And this is kind of like a hemp cleanup bill that deals with quite a few different items. It's pretty broad. And this bill has in the House passed committee and the House floor. It was received just the other day by the Senate, and it is now pending being assigned to a Senate committee. So a summary here about where we are with our legislative merit efforts is medical cannabis has passed the House and has been received by the Senate and is assigned to a Senate committee pending a hearing. HB 218 for penalty reduction has passed the House, has been received by the Senate, and is pending a committee assignment there. And then HB 2818 by Representative Kane is passed the House, received by the Senate, and is pending assignment in Senate committee there. So those are the highlights of what I wanted to talk about with you guys. It's kind of a lot going on right now. And we, like I said, we just have a few weeks left, 4 weeks left. So it's extremely important that you go to texasnormal.org and participate in those action alerts so that your senators will know how you stand on these issues, because they will be coming to committee very soon. And we have 4 weeks to get it done, guys. Let me come over to the comments real quick and see if you guys have any questions. Asking for a little bit of clarity on the penalty reduction bill. Correct. It not only addresses the reduction of penalties for cannabis flower, but also for cannabis concentrates. What a lot of people don't know is that in Texas, just a drop of cannabis concentrate is technically a first-degree state jail felony, a very serious charge. And so this would bring parity between concentrates and flower cannabis. So very important thing that is happening. All right. Well, I don't see any questions, so I guess I explained it really well. So, guys, we are potentially going to have a medical hearing in the Senate in the next week or two. We are going to get committee assignments for the penalty reduction and the hemp bill within the next week or so. And so definitely the next month is going to be a very important month for you to stay tuned, stay involved, and participate in our action alerts. So the most important thing that I want you to take away from today is go to texasnormal.org, click on that 88th Ledge tab there, and participate in those action alerts. We've got one for the medical cannabis bill that is in the Senate now after passing the House. We've got an action alert for the penalty reduction bill that has passed the House and been received by the Senate. And we definitely have a action alert having to do with legalization, because for a historic first ever, a legislative committee in the House has held a hearing on legalization. It's been left pending, which is typical, but we are hoping that we could get a vote within the next week or two, which again would be super historic to be able to have these kind of conversations about legalization at that level. And of course would include a fiscal note. So that would also be great insight into what the government is looking at and wants to see from the program. So lots of great news and exciting things happening in Texas. And I want to thank you all for tuning in. And I hope you all have a wonderful Wednesday night and enjoy some of the afterglow from the work that we've done, guys. We've gotten 3 bills out of the House and into the Senate. We have a historic first of a legalization hearing, and I'm just really excited to be able to share it with all of you guys. So until I see y'all next month, the first Wednesday of June, and that time the legislative session will have ended. So I'm going to give a recap of where we're at post session. So make sure that you tune in. All right, take care, guys.